All right, welcome in. It is time for me to talk about Jordan Love. It is time for me to talk about the Green Bay Packers. And yeah, let's get right into it. So, before we start talking about Jordan Love, we should go back to the 2018 season. This was a strange time in football in the NFC North in general because the Chicago Bears, of all teams, ended up going 12-8, and they were first in the NFC North under that defense. It looked like Trubisky was going to take steps forward, and the situation in the NFC North was looking a little bit murky because Patricia, let's be honest, disastrous hire from the get-go from Detroit. And Minnesota, who made the NFC Championship the year prior in 2017, had failed to build on what was a great 2017 campaign, even with a QB upgrade going from Keenum to Cousins. But the Green Bay Packers were kind of sputtering under Mike McCarthy, and they had failed. For those who are around in the 2018 through 2019 timeframe, it honestly looked like Rodgers was out of his prime. Mike McCarthy failed to get over 500 with that 2018 team, and it was clearly time for all sides to move on. So the Packers made several improvements that single offseason between Adrian Amos, Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith. That was money well spent, especially adding Rashawn Gary, Elton Jenkins, and Darnell Savage in the draft, all of whom have been contributors to this Packers franchise, but how much impact those three have had is all up in the air and a highly contested point of debate for Packers fans in general. So the 2019 season happens, and Rodgers, yes, he had a bounce back season, but Green Bay's run game with Jones and defense were why they went 13-3. Well, over the course of that offseason, they turned to someone who was thought of to be their next franchise quarterback. Green Bay's front office viewed Rodgers as a guy who was never going to get back to his old self. And you know that what made sense for good teams to at least plan ahead for this was they didn't want Rodgers to leave and be caught with their pants down because virtually everything you look at from Rodgers in 2017, 2018, 2019 indicates that he himself was on a decline with production, with overall, just play from the quarterback position. But over the 2020 offseason, he got back to his MVP self. It looked like the injury in 2017 was the one that pretty much ended his elite career. And, that was the plan with Love, that they were not going to extend Rodgers if his career continued on that path. And for smart teams, I understand why they did this, because smart teams are always looking ahead. At the time, I fully supported this pick, and I remember a lot of the football world did too. Example, Patrick Mahomes sits behind Alex Smith for a year. That's a plan at the quarterback position. And Rodgers has always been notoriously insecure. So he at any point could have just been like, nope, I'm done. And he basically almost did that until he had that, little revelation or whatever you call. Yeah, sure, they could have taken a Pittman or an Ayuk or a Higgins at that spot. But I get why they drafted Jordan Love. You can say in hindsight that, yeah, MVP Rodgers definitely could have used an elite wide receiver to go along with Devontae Adams, but I don't know. Neither here nor there. But we haven't even talked about Jordan Love to an extent yet. He was very toolsy coming out of Utah State. He could make any throw, but he was also very raw. But the ties into this organizational philosophy, which only seem to be found in the Packers and the Steelers, that is organizational philosophy. I don't think it really exists for any teams anymore except for those two. The Packers had already done this with Rodgers and Favre. You let the good quarterback, or at least the good quarterback prospect, sit behind the elite starter and see how it works out. And if the Packers draft him because they think they didn't get another chance at a good quarterback prospect before Rodgers retires, they weren't necessarily wrong. This team was pretty much always picking late. The quarterbacks who clearly were better than Love had no chance to fall to Green Bay anywhere after they were picking after 2020. And the only quarterbacks who I had graded higher than Jordan Love who fell were to a spot where Green Bay could have taken them were Sam Howell and Malik Willis, which, by the way, I'm encouraged by what I've seen by Howell so far. Not so much Malik Willis, but Love could almost make any throw as a prospect. Does that sound familiar to a quarterback who had done that for a decade plus in the NFL? But Love's biggest knock was also playing too much hero ball. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I understood the pick 100%. And for what kind of quarterback Love was coming out of college and for what he was supposed to be coming into the NFL, a guy sitting behind a guy like Rodgers, I think that was good process. Rodgers just went berserk, and they were left with no choice but to keep playing him, especially with him being at an MVP level, which may have stunted Love's growth a little bit. But the jury's still out, and that's what I'm trying to get at in this video. But imagine Jordan Love being drafted in the first round just to find out you're going to be a bench warmer for 3 or 4 years. And I don't know. Personally, I'd be kind of bummed. But yeah, you're still in the NFL, and a great accomplishment nonetheless. But no one wants to be a bench warmer. So fast forward to this past year, and Rodgers announces in March that he wants to play for the Jets. So Jordan Love turns into the guy after sitting behind him for 3 years. And the training camp hype train seemed to be a roller coaster. One day I'd see so much stuff that he had a great day, and then the next that he wasn't completing any passes in the red zone drill. But these were the questions about Love entering the year. Here's what we needed to find out about Love this year. Well, I say we as fans, but we're not the one evaluating him. We're not the one building these teams. What Green Bay needed to find out about Love was, can he read pre-snap? Can he go through 3 or 4 progressions if necessary? Can he thread a ball into a tight window? Can he extend a play with his feet? Is he a leader? Can he play in December Lambeau Field weather? Can he lead a comeback on a final drive? Can he play through pain? Is he tough? Can he rise to the occasion? Can he have Green Bay playing in competitive games in December and January? Because guess what? Rodgers could do all of these. So could Favre. And we had no idea if Love could do any, and the offseason answers none of those questions. The only thing that will answer those questions was getting an actual look at him on the field and seeing if this theory came to fruition. And one thing I wanted to slot in here is that the 2020 through 2021 draft classes, the Packers might have a grand total of 0 second contract players. But we also have our answer on to what kind of quarterback Jordan Love is at this time. And just from looking at it so far, it's not necessarily good. It's at least not what you want in an uber competitive league when you had this guy sit behind Rodgers for 3 years. Jordan Love ranks 26th in EPA per play and 33rd in completion percentage over expectation, 27th in PFF passing grade, 25th in yards per attempt, and dead last in the NFL in completion percentage. 7th most interceptions thrown in the league, and he's played against the Bears, Broncos, and Raiders defenses. Imagine when he has to play against a legit D. I mean, he looks pretty rough for someone that's been in the league for, 3 years now, 4 years. Sitting for 3, then playing 1. But people are already jumping the gun on him, and I don't think they should. Everybody's acting like Green Bay has wasted a decade or something. Getting an elite quarterback is extremely, extremely difficult. And if he doesn't work out this season, then they can reevaluate. He was passing 53% against a Bears defense that let Baker look like an all-pro. A lot of his success has been from guys like Reed, Dobbs, Watson, and Jones. But Good's ultimate failure for this team will be destroying the relationship that the team had with their Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, not on him. Not everything should be on him, due to the fact that Rodgers has some responsibility for that and is notoriously, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, insecure. And if the Packers really wanted Love that badly, they should have moved on from Rodgers at the start and allowed Love time to grow, allowing him to make these mistakes, rather than waiting until they had to make a decision on Love's contract. Sunday, his 2 touchdowns against Denver this past Sunday were also both kind of iffy throws, because one was a simultaneous catch that the broadcasters thought should have been picked. But the other was a weird sidearm throw that bounced off of someone's shoulder pads and just got lucky to get to a receiver's hands. Nothing comes easy for Love, and that's the biggest complaint I've seen about him so far. He's the ultimate high-variance quarterback. There's just so much unnecessary pocket movement. There's also a lot of special flashes from this guy. But the overwhelming thing that jumps out to us is that nothing comes easy for this Green Bay offense. But I still think that Love can fulfill the vision that Green Bay had for him when they took him, even when they had Rodgers after they went 13-3 in 2018. I still think Love can be a successful QB at the NFL level. Now, it remains to be seen, because we are not in these organizational buildings. We don't see everything that happens from the day-to-day. And you know what? Green Bay might disagree. But if they continue to lose games in embarrassing fashion, we might have to, I might have to reevaluate my opinion. But I still think there's a small part of me that still thinks this dude can be special in the league. And yeah, that basically does it for me, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.